Sometimes I find myself fixating on things that have hurt me really bad in the past. And it's definitely hard not to, depending on how deep whatever had hurt you has cut in the past.
Oh my God.
Sometimes it builds to that knee-jerk reaction when something related or even distinctly related to something that caused you pain in the past reminds you of that. Rushing to protect yourself in ways that you maybe couldn't have before. Thinking about what else you possibly could have done, what else you could have said the next time this happens so that pain never happens again. And it can happen from relationships, people at work, friends, of course. And unfortunately, it can also happen through acquaintances and strangers, which is such a crazy thing to think about. How someone who doesn't even know you can really cause you a lot of pain or take up space in your mind when you don't want that. If you can relate to any part of what I had said, I hope what I'm saying next can help you fully heal, fully push past all of that. Imagine your journey of life, ups and downs, allowing yourself to be free of what has hurt you in the past. It's kind of a wild statement because, of course, you want to be free of things that have hurt you, but sometimes it's a lot easier said than done. We can allow ourselves to be more free with two aspects. First, mentally, and then next, physically. Mentally, this might sound kind of strange, but I think there's an important lesson in what I have to say. Sometimes I would be so fixated on something that hurt me or something a person did or said that felt intentional and hurtful or offensive. And sometimes for fun, I would ask for fun. Sometimes I would go to my tarot cards. The tarot cards aren't the important part of this. It's really the messaging behind it. If you don't know what they are, basically they're kind of like a deck of playing cards, but people use them for signs or for asking questions. In a deck, there are different personas, different characters, each with their own characteristics and traits, and sometimes based on what cards fall out, you can use those personas to gather some thoughts about what you might be asking. And regardless on if you believe in them or not, this is how I kind of came to think about this topic. And it's interesting because I would do this. I would be so frustrated or angry and fixated on something. And then when I'm asking for these signs, be met with all the good things that are happening in my life, or an explanation of signs saying that that thing that I'm thinking about doesn't really matter. And it's interesting how something can take up so much space in your head and so much space in your body and your feelings and your emotions, and actually not even be a significant part of your life journey. Again, if you think about it, let's say life has ups and downs. There are times where you might be in a down period, things are slow. This might be more of a rest and introspective type of period. Or you might be in a high period, lots of opportunities, lots of new things to explore, feeling lucky, feeling abundant. Both of those are all part of the process, all part of this experience that is life. It's hard to know, are you in a high period? Let's just call them those. A high period, or maybe more of a resting, maybe more stagnant period of your life. It's hard to know that until you're really looking back. You might be in a really amazing part of your life. Maybe this one thing triggered you or reminded you of something that was so hurtful in the past that your body is naturally in fight or flight or reaction sort of mode. Allowing yourself to be free of things that have hurt you so deeply in the past starts with, you want to make sure that you're clearing the smudge on the glass instead of being focused on it. You might be in such a beautiful time in your life, and there are so many opportunities, so many blessings within arm's distance. But if you're focused on that smudge right in front of it, something, even though that smudge feels huge, painful because it was tied to something really painful. If you clear the fog rather than being focused on it, there's likely so many opportunities within arm's distance that will be easier for you to grab. When you make a promise to yourself that after some amount of time or some dedication to releasing this, when you make a promise to yourself to take off the chains that you might have placed on yourself. Physically doing things like somatic releases, somatic exercises is what I've found to be really powerful and really effective in a short period of time. Emotions are energy in motion. You can do movements shaking out how you feel, and that is very effective at pushing out stagnant emotions, pains that have been there from before, but you don't need them anymore. Things might have hurt you really badly in the past, but now you've learned stronger boundaries. Now you've learned how to stand up for yourself better. And you no longer need to be bogged down by something so hurtful, like what's remaining of that. Practice seeing your triggers from a higher level, from an outside perspective, from an overall journey perspective, so you can peek through and expand your vision when something reminds you of something that hurt you really bad in the past. Now you're slowly building a wider vision so you can see more clearly, and soon you are becoming free from things that have hurt you so badly. Like I said, this is a practice. Sometimes it also helps to give yourself a period of time where you can just fully feel it, fully vent, and then make sure that that has a stopping point so you're not draining an issue. You don't want to drain it to a point that thinking about it is doing no good. What you have felt is incredibly valid, but at some point, so you can be fully free, so you can have peace, everything that feels like it might hurt you again is actually gone, and you might be the only thing that's in your way, that's remaining. Reinforce those activities that will help you live a more fulfilling life. My name is Catherine. If you liked this, I have another video on using your environment to become the person that you want to be, and another video on seeing through people's real intentions, along with many other videos on self-improvement and self-development. Please subscribe and like for more. I'll see you soon.